Welcome. Hi, everyone. Uh, Welcome to Nerds United PTCS2 review, Electric Boogaloo. Uh, I'm joined with, as always, Aster. How are you doing this evening? Um, I hope everyone good, or congratulations to all the winners. I hope everyone was able to snag some cool cards and stuff. Um, uh, as you can, these are the there's how many PTCS events? There's four, five,
4 once from Dish, so we may have to. Um, uh, we may want to. I may want to reach out to Dish and see if I can get a definitive answer or Nico. But I think it's going to be five. That seems to be the more consistent story. Um, so yeah, so this was two. This was two. So we have three more before we have PTMS. Um, I There was some conversation in Discord about how many points it's going to take to qualify. Uh, I think
it's 64 or 128.
64.
Okay, so if we scroll down
64
to
teams will
64,
qualify. So my guess is that at the end of the day, it's going to take um, uh, roughly 225, maybe 250 points. I think some people thought it might be as high as 300. I think that there's going to be a lot of re- repeat winners and or repeat because so many of the teams, the top like uh, 25 or so, are some very top players. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up kind of padding their positioning if they continue playing. Um, and so I think that it'll be top. The standings will be a little top heavy, and then it won't take quite that many points to make it into uh, the top 64.
yep. I'm working on again hating myself and qualifying for everything again. I think I'm depending on like distribution of points and stuff. I think I'm in at least like three already, which is pretty pretty neat for just not really focusing on anything. This week I'm trying to terrorize Iron, and really Iron is just terrorizing me. Um, yeah, yeah, Isidef was right. Like if you get there's so few people who play. I guess the and Diamond, Wildcard, and Open, and Weekly. I think those are the four that I'm like really close to already. At least like assuming a 10 to 20% bump in like 128, uh, to be placed 128. Like I think I'm gonna be like in the 100, 90 to 100 range if I never play again, which like
Right.
I probably will. Um, the wild cards have a lot of like a few soft formats. I think like the daily live is a little. Um,
Yeah, it's tough though because if you're just trying to like only play a few of them and sneak in, like even the best player in a daily live is just not going to win as consistently as you would if you're playing, some of the more skill based formats. So it's a little tricky. It's like sort of the same thing. Like there are people who just only try and play a few, irons or bronzes a week, and you just it's it's tricky to do that. I think you have to more focus. Um,
yeah, live gold. Like all the live ones I like because I like playing with live cards
Yeah.
because I'm a masochist.
No, but they are. I do think they are soft because as this is said, a lot of people don't really set rosters. But it's just like even your advantage over a an auto set roster is not nearly as big as it is in a lot of other formats.
Sure.
Um, even if even in like a gold open, where it's not like there are that many gold open cards that very few people have that are like dominant or anything, but uh, you just you still can have a big advantage in terms of roster construction and things like that, um, and how you deploy the players. Whereas in live, I don't know, you know, I think I've done well in live formats this year, especially the live weekly formats. But um, I think that's just kind of ungood for the most part.
I think last week was also really easy just because all the everyone's rosters were messed up anyways because of the live update.
Yeah, the live update and the refresh. You had so many new tournament formats that people, I saw a lot of people signing up for some of like the new wildcard formats and like didn't even have a roster or had some kind of messed up roster because they didn't really spend the time to do it. So, um,
I
yeah,
think
it definitely gives an advantage.
I definitely won a messed up roster versus messed up roster off in round one, so I was able to get 1 point out of I forget what it was, like not the SE cap, but it was one of those other like OTP era caps or something. It was
Yeah,
like it was like, I think it was a Monday or Tuesday, and we both entered it, and my opponent, his roster was messed up, and yeah, it was. I got
so
1 point at least out of it.
that's for zero effort. That's pretty good. Um, so maybe want to scroll down a little bit and look, see what like 64 is at this point. So 64 is around a little over 60 points. So if it's just 30 points per tournament, then it would only be like 150. But I think that it's going to be a good bit higher than that. Um,
There'll
uh,
probably be some more turnover too, so I'm actually like maybe not 300 because I don't know. I'm not sure a lot like all these people who are in this range are going to be playing still, maybe, but maybe they will be. I don't know.
right. No, there'll definitely be a good number of players. I mean, just because you basically one win can get you from anywhere on that list up into the top, into the top like 30, top 40, basically. Um, it definitely will, means that anybody can still anybody's game in terms of qualifying. But I do think right now, basically the top, I would say 16, maybe 17. Um, uh,
So Jaylee, this is the PTMS summer rate standing. So they're not updated in game, but they're updated on challenge.otp something 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 something.
Yeah, so I would say, 16, 299 points probably guaranteed to be in. Um, the drop offs, the people, also the people who are in that, 250 to, you know, maybe, like down to like 24, probably can, um, probably won't end up having to do much and will probably qualify and probably a good number of the people in that next range. But I don't think you can, if you're in the, like, 35, 40 range and you have 100, a little over 100 points, I think you're going to need to, have some other strong finishes to stay in the top 64. Do you want to look at the perfect draft one?
Sure. Uh, so drafts.
Yeah, so with a lot less, there's only two tournaments per period, and so the numbers, the amount of points available are just way lower, and it really drops off quickly. Um, so if you look, 68 or 64 is only 20 points. Uh, uh,
We're
68
so
was what I was looking
close.
at. So close and yet so far. I'm not very close in terms of points, but I'm close in terms of places. So uh, I think you're probably going to need something around 60 points or so, I'm guessing. So, you know,
Yeah, this is
obviously
definitely
the very,
a lot
yeah,
tighter.
it's just a completely different ball game in terms of qualifying for this. Um, so, I definitely think that very few people, if you didn't finish like, in the top four, one of the first two, probably haven't locked up your spot. But it'll probably be a cumulative thing, and should be interesting though.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm
I
definitely glad that they separated it out. That it's not it's not just the same people as in the half the field of the PTMS. I like that they're separate ones. Definitely, what it's made for. At least how the field is shaping up for the tournament one. A really strong bracket of very top teams, because there's a lot of teams in the top 64 of the tournament bracket that are very good teams, and then there's also a very high number of teams just outside the top 64 that I think could finishes could easily above top 64.
Brooklyn Cyclones is just outside.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean Chimera, Weldon,
yeah,
uh, Cleveland
Fycross.
Flying G's. My Matt's a good team. RDT. Um, there's definitely a lot of
Assiniboia.
yeah. So it should be fun, to follow this. Obviously, when we get closer to, after maybe four of them, we'll have a pretty good idea what it takes to qualify, and then people will know kind of what they have to shoot for in the last one, rather
So,
than try and
so
qualify.
Ludwig, the way PTMS now is it's a point based system. So instead of the top four qualifying, you get what is it, 300 for a win, 100 for second.
Yep, 75 for semifinals, 40 for quarterfinals, 20 for the round of 16. Um, and then I think it's five for a round of 32, 2 points for the second round, and 1 point for entering or qualifying for the tournament. Um, and so uh,
Oh, so these
they
are all the people who qualified and
qualified but didn't win anything in whatever tournament they played. And so
gotcha.
they only had 1 point. They only qualified in one event. 2 points they could have qualified in only one event. Yeah, so it's made it so.
But Isadafo, you don't have to get the quarterfinal prize. Actually, no, it's the semifinal prize that is a little weak. Never mind, that joke doesn't count.
Yeah,
Um,
the scoring in general, I just think they went a little overboard. I think the first or second, um, uh, uh, the first to second, I thought was too big. I think 200 points first and 100 for second would have been a big enough. I think 300. I kind of understand the idea that like they wanted to pretty much, um, uh, you know, going to be, when you're in. But I just think they could have made it a little bit more reasonable, where I think anybody who won would have pretty close. Um, yeah, Estafo, I was not very happy with that. I mean, I probably would have got still lost to Hamlet and been pretty happy with how it ended up, but I was not expecting to lose that wild card. Um, I thought that was my strongest team at the tournament, and it did make it the farthest, but one of my teams did pretty well. And yeah, for one of your teams, it was not as strong as I usually see from your build, so I was extra frustrated. But um, you know,
That's
we get
baseball.
another. That's baseball. Another month of trying to qualify. Um, Going back to what we were talking about before, I think I've already qualified in silver this month. I randomly had 3 straight days where I made the finals, or no, one semifinal and two finals in silver cap, and so I don't think I really have to play much the rest of the way to qualify in silver. Um, and then diamond, open, wild card, and weekly. I think I'm already qualified, so I guess gold, I think I might have to do a little more work, and then the perfect drafts, I'll have to maybe I'll try and throw something into a bronze just for fun a couple times to see if I can pull something off.
I think there's some bronze tournaments that seemed interesting.
Yeah, I mean I probably do bronze cap just because. Um, what's the daily bronze cap? It's a 1425 cap. Is there an error to that?
No, the only era is the late bronze, which is
Okay.
1978 with no.
Okay. Yeah, because the bronze cap, it's obviously a very different cap than the weekly because the weekly is 1555, so it's a very uh, high cap. But I can definitely modify my cap team for that and
I think
get
uh,
something.
I think it also allows for some interesting stuff with best of fives. Like you
Sure.
can do like 4 man rotations. You can maybe get
Yeah.
away with 3 man rotations.
End up it's 64 teams make the PTMS, um, and then there's a separate PTMS for tournaments and a separate one for perfect drafts this year, so you can qualify for both.
There's a graphic somewhere pinned somewhere that I think who was it? It's on the tip of
Oh,
my tongue.
EVC had like a
EVC
weird
had
chart
yeah.
because the chart that this showed was very confusing, and then EVC somehow made it somewhat better, but it's still sort of confusing.
Yeah. Okay. Data. Let's do this. Does that work? Oh, it kind of works. I just have to make it bigger.
Okay.
Uh, there we go. So, here are the results. In terms of what we were talking about prediction wise. So this down here was kind of what we talked about on the show last week, and yeah, and then these are each of the tournaments basically.
Well, these are the ones that were set in 1995. You didn't include
Yeah,
wild card because it was a different. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So looking through it, start with strikeouts. So overall, among all of the tournaments, it was 19.38K percentage. Um, Interesting spread. You have low of 17.69 in the PD daily, but high of 21.8% in iron. Um, that doesn't surprise me. Iron, a lot of people use the high stuff, high stuff pitchers in iron. Um, and iron was actually a fairly tight cap, right?
Yeah. It was like
So
11, I think the number.
okay, so yeah, so that doesn't surprise me given pitchers people generally use in iron. That was the highest.
and
Um,
and the walk rate, like I think
yeah,
every pitcher had like 20 or 30 control. So
yeah. No, I mean that's just the shape of the pitchers that people using iron. Um, that's it's pretty funny to see it's that big of a because like K rate, the spread between the highest and lowest is not that big, but then for the walk rate, it's huge. I mean, bronze was the second highest and is significantly lower, so that's pretty interesting. Uh, Home runs, a little bit of a spread. Not surprising that iron would be the lowest. There's just not that many power bats.
and these guys that have the 30 control typically have like 90 plus BABIP and home run, which you
Right.
can kind of see with. So
Yeah, the BAPIP is the lowest, so that's interesting.
yeah, I think when I built my iron team, I kind of just leaned in. Or no, I think I tried. I didn't. I tried to like pick cards that should go for the format, and I don't
Right.
think I did very well. I think I was out in round two or something like that.
Well, that was also the last one we built um,
Right.
after a long, long session of building.
5 hours of building.
So yeah, so that's looks like other than in the iron, the BAPIPs were fairly similar, and we had very similar BAPIPs. It looks like to what we were expecting from the '96 PD and the 1999 daily tournament at 280 range.
It,
Um,
it's like PDs match PDs almost.
yeah, very similar. That's not surprising.
And you can also see the stolen base attempts versus like of a tournament with like the top tournament players versus kind of
Right.
these that just have people throwing stuff in.
Yeah, not surprising that Open would have the the highest home base attempts, and then also the highest success rate, just because there's at least some cards in that pool that you can feel somewhat comfortable running. I still didn't let anybody run, but at least if you're playing Jackie or a couple of the other cards, you at least consider it. Um,
Yeah, 61
yeah,
is bad.
yeah, I definitely think that this is one of the things. Like, if as a general rule, I think people kind of over obsess with sliders, but if you're only going to change one slider from the default settings, it's basically to turn off stolen bases and don't have as a team your team really tempting any, and then maybe you turn them you override and let a couple of your guys uh, attempt steal something like a Jackie. I'm trying to even think of
It
who
was
else is on.
it, it's like you needed to have over 100 speed and or over 90 speed and 100 stealing
Right.
are the only cards that look to be maybe hit that 70-75% threshold.
That sounds about right.
So like I think last year, like if you had 80 speed, 90 stealing, like you would let them go and they would whatever, they would get to their 70-75% and be
Right.
positive, but like yeah, that doesn't you're very rarely going to let that be successful there.
Okay.
Uh,
Um,
so yeah,
you have. Oh, go ahead.
what do we want to do? You want to go look at your team, my team? Uh,
Uh, you want to just pick a
it,
format and let's look at the bronze. Considering if anybody doesn't
oh,
know, the bronze was won by um, a certain member of this stream who's not me. Uh, Forrest was the big winner of his shiny new Randy Johnson, and so yeah, so let's take a look at kind of the overall statistics and then also your team. So let's see.
so
So this is just your team, right? Or no?
yeah, this is just my
Yeah.
team.
Okay. So Joey Gallo clubbed his way to victory with 9% runs.
Mr. Three True Outcome.
Yes, he definitely he struck out a lot. He walked. He was not your number one walker, but yeah, definitely struck out the most. Um, uh, Dink living up to his name with no Ks, but looks like he was sneaking on base. So a lot of extra base hits. Dink definitely probably that's more runs than I think I would have expected from him as well.
More what?
More home runs from Dink.
Uh,
What's Dink's power? I can't remember.
Dink's power. Uh, Let's go into the card database.
Okay.
Dink. Where is Dink? His power is 44, 43, 44. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
Uh,
so that's so him being 4.5% home runs. Got you got a few more than probably I would have expected.
yeah, I
Um,
would have thought it would have been closer to like the Brad Wilkerson,
yeah,
because I think Wilkerson is around the same. I can pull this
I
up.
think Herman Long is actually higher power than Ding.
Yep, I think so. Jump into that. Pull this up and put it on the screen. Fixed tournaments. Finished. Not iron, bronze. Well, that loads. I hope I'm going into it. Yeah. Brad Wilkerson. I think that was one that. So if we look at just kind of the entire format, Gallo number one. A lot of people played Gorman. A lot of people played Chipper. A lot of people played Jimmy Wynn. I think I I used Jimmy Wynn as a backup, or I didn't play him at all. No, I didn't play him at all. I thought that was something different.
Well,
Uh,
this is only showing. I don't know if that didn't show your whole. If you were using it as a backup, it might have shown you. You've only
oh
got the
right, because
top
this is
10.
yeah. You're right. Let's filter it this way. Um, it's greater than or equal to one. There we go. Yeah, Jimmy Wynn's there.
Jimmy Wynn, you had him in there.
Yeah.
He was, eh, he really had 82 plate appearances. He had zero extra base hits.
That's a little surprising. Oh, here. This is for Ludwig. There we go. Uh, yeah, Jimmy Wynn. I guess his gap isn't that crazy.
It's not that small, but still, it's pretty no doubles, no triples.
Uh, Go back to Excel. Yeah. So definitely like, I guess that's not right. Let's go whatever top 25 or so, or top 15. Did I do that right? Yeah. So Gallo, Gorman, 8 non-home run hits and no gap. Uh, Jimmy Wynn's BABIP. Like it just seemed like BABIP kind of fell off a cliff on some cards. Like,
Yeah,
like he's not. Where is it? I guess 34 BABIP is pretty low.
it's pretty darn bad. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think that's a card that I was playing a lot at the beginning of the cycle. Some of the app from I think he'll be quick to kind of
I think he's one of the cards that kind of has gotten squeezed out, I guess, because a lot more. Uh, well, maybe not. Like the home runs are kind of, I guess, average. Like if we go back to here, the home run rate for bronze was 3.8. So like he is above average in terms of
right.
the home run rate, but
Sure.
yeah. Dink, I think I got the super dink. Uh, yeah, but I still think under the Mendoza line for BABIP is a bit yikes.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. I mean, this was a BAPIP suppressed environment, at least a little bit, from like 300 to like 275, 280. And I don't, I mean, we're still looking at very small samples, but, I don't know. This win was not no longer one of my favorites. But still, I mean, walk rate's insane.
oh yeah, the walk rate on win was up to
Yeah.
21, the highest. So he got on base, but you can't
Yeah.
steal. So yeah, like Jackie Robinson, he had a 58% stolen base rate. Oh man, that's a lot. That's a lot of outs. That's a lot of outs. Rob Deere was someone who I thought should have been better, I guess, and I think he just got absolutely demolished by the K rate. Um, did we get new bronze cards? We got bronze cards for the Garrick drop, right?
Well, and then the Negro League drop had a number of new bronze cards, but I think it might be the I don't think we've got a lot of like hitters that I would play over Win. It's more that I just think the pitching mix might have changed in a way that disfavors him.
I I I really like this card, and it kind of
Yeah,
showed. It doesn't show up
I
here, but like, actually, I'm
maybe
kind of
doesn't show up there.
curious.
Great.
Oh, no, it's number three. Yeah, okay.
So other than being number three, he doesn't show.
Yeah, he doesn't show up here. No, Wilkerson. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and especially if it's not a home run boosted environment. Uh, I think that Wilkerson probably plays off his own
Yep.
monitoring that as opposed to this format.
Yeah, some people were playing. Nelson Cruz is. I think Nelson Cruz Springboks was the only one
Okay,
who
he
played
was the
him.
only. Well, so his was good, but yeah, we didn't really get. That's not much data to work off of with
Yeah,
regard to.
people were playing Gallo in left field. Mark DeRosa in left field.
Wonder
Uh,
if that's weird.
yeah, this was kind of the choices. Um,
Oh, gonna look at pitching.
yeah. Uh, so starters. Uh, so we look at kind of the top 15 for starters. Um, oh, Cal Eldred, good card. I didn't believe it, but 200 innings pitch, super significant sample size.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna say I don't know if we can take that much from it with 200 innings, but
yeah,
also very rarely going to get a ton of innings. In the tournament from a card that not everybody has. Um, but, uh, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me that it's a good card. But McNally makes a lot of sense up at the top. Um, that
I already
Shizer,
posted mine. Who my rotation, which I think I don't know if I just got lucky. I probably a little bit of luck, but like yeah, John Means, not a card a lot of people play, and Storm Davis, who was my worst pitcher but had the most wins. And we all know wins is the most important pitching
right.
stat.
It's the only stat you have to look at.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely. I think I was like, I don't even know what I was. I was doing like home run suppression. I think I was looking at, and I kind of worked because like if you look at all these numbers, like these are 3, 4, 5 home runs, and then I think only Oral and Storm. But yeah, somehow these guys did well. Um, and the super small sample size. Uh, Lily, yeah, Gura. Kind of go back into the client and look at kind of I guess pitching leaders. I don't know if this is gonna work. Yeah, he had 3 games. This doesn't count. Yeah, Storm Davis is up there with Fred Beebe. This is not the most useful view.
Yeah.
Let's go back to things. So, um,
Let's go back home where we're comfortable in the Excel.
yeah. Well, no, we can look at like Lily and Gara and take a look at them.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's like take a look at. So again, it's like PBAP suppression. Kind of surprised because I would have thought power would have been more important than BABIP. Uh, but I don't know. It worked out for some people. Or on aggregate, it seemed to work out, which is kind of not what I would have expected.
Right.
Larry Gura. This seems a little bit more understandable because I feel like arbitrary thresholds of like saying hitting 70 on P home run is probably really important. Some of the
Yeah,
other
I mean
ones
that
were
definitely.
because even I guess Dave McNally isn't that. Is he? Yeah, even him. I
Yeah,
think the idea. What was it earlier on? It's like as long as you can give up home runs, as long
as long as they're
as
so shots.
no, yeah, as long as they're solo shots. Solo shots won't hurt you. And I feel
Yeah,
like I guess that's probably like a worthwhile kind of approach. And
yeah.
then like Jimmy Key was another top one.
I mean, I would prefer McNally in formats where there's a few less home runs, but I think he's just one of the best bronze cards, kind of whatever the format.
Just yeah, entirely due to the BABIP suppression as well. But even then, I didn't get. Uh,
Yeah, you didn't get great power of suppression from him, but did not. He oddly did not let up very many home runs for you. That's really surprising. Meanwhile, Worrell got crushed on him.
yeah. Putting out that. Turns out that putting Brooks and Belanger in your back pocket is pretty useful.
Yes.
Yes. Bullpens. So across the board, I went 13 in the bullpen. I think if we kind of go back to the client, I had a lot of game sevens. I think one, two, three game sevens. Seven or eight bullpen arms probably helped. I always had someone kind of 100%.
Sure.
I think in like these formats, I don't know for a cap. Would you also run 13? Thinking
Um,
that that 13th 40 overall is going to be as useful as another one.
I
As
think that definitely. I mean, obviously, in a loose cap, I think it has, or an open. I think it has a ton of value in a format like this run environment, this era. Like I think I did 12 in some and 13 in some, but I think looking back at it, I probably should have done 13 in just about everything in 1995. Um, but yeah, in a cap, it's tough because you're like, okay, a lot of times most of your bullpen is 40 overall guys, so just adding another 40 overall guy, I guess, you know, probably it's probably better, but I think it's less important in a tight cap to go with it.
my counter argument is that you're gonna let your starter bats go longer, so you don't need as many backups.
Well, I don't. I generally, even in caps, go with 96%
Yeah,
um, uh, uh, for replacement. I know a lot of people go, 91 or even into the 80s. And so I often am using my bench guys offensively um, uh, to, and so I think 14 hitters, usually most of my builds seem to work well with 14 hitters that I don't have guys covering three positions you know, or anything like that. So it's
uh,
really hard to do the right, you know,
I definitely got
backup
lucky because if I didn't win in four, I probably would have lost in seven.
in the
Because
finals.
in the finals, because I didn't have a second baseman. Game set or game four, both. Who are my second basemen? Both. Where is it? Mark DeRosa? No, I had both. Yeah, I only had Mark DeRosa and Dink Mothel, and Dink I was starting in right field. I didn't really plan that out. There was a lot of microing happening on Saturday. I tell you
Right.
that.
Yeah, I mean that often happens when you realize when you're still going deep in a tournament, but you realize there was a flaw. Often, you can micro your way to minimize the flaw, but you can't fully get rid of it. And sometimes you just have to get a good roll to save you from that.
Yep. Uh, all right. Enough about bronze. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about wildcard. Right? Or no, wildcard. Let's not talk about. Let's talk about something
Okay.
else. We can talk about wildcard if you want. It's
Well,
like it's
yeah. I
just
mean, it's completely.
the weights aren't gonna really match up. I think if we look at
Oh,
that,
yeah. Then let's not. Um,
like I think it may weight stuff differently,
okay.
but we can kind of look
The
at the aggregate.
results. I mean, the results are going to be the same, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying like this WRC like for a wild
Okay.
card because wild card was 1938, right?
Okay. Yeah. So let's not. Let's look at open then.
Okay. Surprise, surprise. Lou Gehrig is a good card.
Lou Gehrig is a good card. Mickey Mantle's a good card. Um,
Uh,
Lou Gehrig in a slightly lesser version, still a really good card. Um, so just reminder everybody, Open was a 1750 cap, I believe. Um,
was BGAR was around, right? He was around.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's open daily open. Uh, Bullet Joe having not living his best life
yeah. I
as a
mean,
batter.
right. I think he'll show out a lot better in the
But even like open, I'm just loading it now. Open was a
sure,
1750 cap,
right.
and what does that? Was that big or small? I don't remember.
It's somewhat tight. It's around 11.8, I think, cap. Um,
Oh, okay.
so I had Bullet Joe Rogan and John Anderson, um, uh, both going two ways because I think I had him mine hit all.
Yeah, in general, it seemed like all the Bullet Joes didn't really do that well.
Interesting.
Not enough eye, not enough power. It's kind of like
Yeah, I mean the thing is it's not generally an open bat, but for the caps, the ability to have, he's one of the top five starters, and then also that he's about as good of a bat as the guy you'd be squeezing in. Um, he's certainly better than going with a different perfect starter, and then like an iron bat. Um,
yeah,
and so, but instead of that iron bat, you're basically getting, a silver, maybe a gold bat out of it. And then Anderson is a weaker bat, but is also an elite defender, center field, which is a position you often don't always have the best bat anyway.
Donaldson.
Yeah,
Oh, 92. That's great.
yeah, he's 92 range in the outfield. You can see the bat, doesn't have a lot of power, not a great eye, but uh, uh, definitely in a format that doesn't, suppress BABIP and where home power is not as important, being better fit. So let's see. So he ran the Higo, I assume both ways, but that was his only two-way player.
Diego pitched. Oh yeah, Diego did
Yeah,
very well.
yeah. And so the Higo is interesting because he's not he's not nearly as good of a pitcher or a batter than Bullet Joe Rogan, but definitely seemed to do well for Khan.
Definitely punched above
Khan
its
because
weight.
he can, instead of going with a second uh, second two-way player, because I guess he did not have Anderson or Page. He went with Dave McNally, who we
And
talked
Silver
about
Roberts.
him a lot in bronze, and Silver Roberts, and he got looks like he got some very good results out of both of them.
Let's see how they did in aggregate. Uh, so if we go to pitching, go to open, clear that. Koufax good, Grover good, Bullet Joe Rogan, Silver
Water
Roberts.
wet.
A lot of people pitched him. A lot of people
I
pitched
don't know about
Silver.
a lot. I mean, 200 innings when probably a good percentage of those innings were Khan's innings, considering he made it to the finals.
Uh, Roberts pitched 50 innings for
50
Khan.
innings, so a quarter of the innings from 78 Roberts were Khan's innings, which means that the Khan for everybody else he must have been pretty awful.
And even Dave McNally, like Khan just got all the roles.
Yeah, that
46.
often happens to let you in.
Cause even if we come up here and we go look at where was his what's Khan's team? Vlad New Bears, right?
Blood in his bears, yeah.
Uh, so when you look at it this way, like they definitely performed above average. Oh wait,
Yeah, I mean the fact that
Robin
Roberts
Roberts
was
went.
better than Joss,
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
again he got super lucky with the home run rolls.
Yeah,
Walks are up. What in tarnations is going on? How did he have so many bad walks? Must have been maxed pitch around. Yeah, okay, that okay, that explains some stuff. Uh, this is Robin Roberts with 100 control, um, which apparently equated to 8.21% walk rate.
yeah, it's
Uh,
well, I guess if you're trying to avoid the home runs, the way to do it. All right.
and even on like, well, 80 catcher ability is pretty good for a starting catcher, I'd say.
Yeah.
And even then hedges. So lean into the catcher ability and let her rip.
Yeah.
Um, what else do you want to look at?
Um.
You want to look at Mac Jack's team?
Sure.
So yeah, Koufax dominated, although I think got outdueled by McNally, unfortunately for Mac Jacks, in whatever game five.
And
Vida, oh boy,
ooh, that yeah, didn't pitch a lot, but got touched up pretty good.
because I think Mac Jacks he went 25-10, and I guess four of the losses, so he would have went 24-6 or something like that. So a lot of four-game series. Um, go back to the tournament tree. Um, 4-0, 4-2, 4-2, and then 4-0. So yeah, kind of just leaned on Koufax, um, which
Yeah. Well,
really did well.
yeah, and Bullet Joe,
Yeah.
pretty darn good.
Uh,
Satch was not really as good, but in
I don't
very small talking about.
like. I guess Vida like had like a really exaggerated BABIP, but like if
Not,
we
I mean, that was average for the format, wasn't it?
270,
Just
yeah, 270.
only slightly above average. So, but still got yeah. I mean, it's small sample. It's only 26 innings.
Woof. Yeah, that's baseball. I think like when you have such extremes, it's really hard to kind of allocate a reasonable, like a baseball reasonable amount, because life field is or left field or whatever. Um, he's also like a super. How do you spell it? Lefty, lefty leaf field. He's also like a small control. So like if you take this and you like take Robin Roberts, like how do you allocate walks properly? I guess it's kind of hard, but maybe it's not.
I'm not understanding the question.
Um, so if we were gonna take Adios or Joss or whatever his name
I
is,
think it's Joss, but okay.
and then lefty. Okay, so this is how you distribute the walks. Like Addy Joss is a what? How much control? 100 control. So
Oh, 100.
this is what a 100 control versus 30 control looks like.
Yeah,
Um,
probably isn't low enough for Joss or high enough for Mayfield, even though with that big gap.
Asadafo, is this one win against you in a game seven? That is fantastic if it is. It's tragic. That's tragic. Um, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, anything else, or open up?
No, I think that
Well,
was enough.
open it
That
up
was
to the
enough.
floor. Maybe anyone wants to see a format.
Anybody question a format, maybe a player they want to see how they did, anything like that? Um, Go ahead and put in the chat. Silver pitcher.
Uh, what's going on? Silver pitchers? Silver
Silver
pitchers
pitcher.
in silver or silver pitchers in open? Grabster.
Silver pitchers in silver, probably.
Silver pitchers in silver. So I think this is too big of a gate. So let's drop this to top 15. So Bill Gatewood, uh, Frank Tanana, Tristan, Libertor, Jesse Petty. Uh, Everyone kind of played Robin Roberts. You can go look at the Bill Gatewood card. Bill. Yeah, so I had a great run until the quarterfinals. uh, a run that I didn't really believe could be sustained, and it wasn't. Let's see. Did the Fort Collins Sage Grouse BFF have a Bill Gatewood? They sure did. Um, yeah, I think this is just kind of one of those solid profiles. Is this?
Yeah, I mean that's just a little, it's one of the new Negro League cards, and it's just a little overstated for what most of the silver pitchers are. I mean, Troll's a little on the low side, but everything else is pretty solid. Um,
Almost
good
like a
kind of
Storm
talent.
Davis, which was the idea that I had.
You said I want the Bill Gatewood of bronze, and you came up with Storm Davis.
It's kind of the same. I would say it's pretty
Uh,
close.
it's pretty close, yeah. I mean, obviously the big stuff drop, but for eight points, it's not that big of a difference.
79 and 60 versus 83 and 67.
Yeah.
That was the reasoning behind Storm Davis. Um, yeah. So we can kind of quickly go through the grosses. Fort Collins. Fort Collins. Uh, there are 6 pitchers here, so I'm guessing there was a few spot starts and whatnot. Um,
Well, Day is Day doesn't have very good stand, so yeah, it must have been mixing and matching.
uh, and then for batters in the silver, uh,
Ortiz still a monster.
Ortiz still a monster. Like one of the things I said was that this was gonna play uh, like pre 515, so I kind of wonder. Um, it's I thought it kind of played like 515, pre 515 a little.
Yeah, I think the format is closer to that. I don't see Gehrig. Can you adjust the filters? See what how much Gehrig play got Eric, how much play Gehrig got? They use words good.
850 plate appearances.
Okay, so yeah, I mean it's just that not everybody has him yet, but you so 49, and then what was Ortiz and Julian? Oh, that was my mistake. I was playing Luis Ortiz. Not, okay, so obviously small sample, but because I think it's if you're building in silver, uh, uh, you know, Gehrig, Ortiz, and Julian are 3 cards. I don't think you want to play Julian anywhere other than first base or DH, and obviously can't for Gehrig and Ortiz. So it's just kind of interesting that 3 of the best bats in the format, you really can only play 2 of them. Um, and even though, yeah, so you're just kind of limited.
So I did play Ken Phelps. I think most of those play appearances are probably from me. Uh, he did. Uh, he did. He did pretty well.
Yeah, he killed it.
Um, I actually have to go, so
Okay.
we're gonna just cut it short here. Sorry for not getting all the way to uh, not getting to the main feed. Let's see who's we have a few people online. Let's raid FKN Kamish, who I always kind of think inappropriate names for. Um, so
That was random.
Yep. So congrats to all the winners. And yeah, keep on rising grinding. Uh, until next time.
Yeah. Congratulations again, Exto, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.